and we're going to switch it up today. Today, we got a special guest. You know what I'm saying? Got a pioneering brother. You know, everybody don't get that title before them.
I appreciate you,
Okay,
brother.
go by a track, but let them know who you are. Introduce yourself to my
Absolutely.
viewers.
Trap, Sam, Seif, hailing out of Brooklyn, New York, everywhere, tri-state. You might have seen me in cameos, work with various artists, different shows, did some acting. So you might have seen me different places. But I just launched one of my second projects, Sex Love Relations, independent, independent book. This would be my second self-published book, but I went with the self-published process because I understand the business now. And
Right.
that's one thing why I wanted to go there. You know, of course, different options where you can get an advance, you can get that upfront check, and you might owe some back money, or so you might not own all of your. Of course, you're not going to own all your copyrights. But when I thought about the longevity, I decided to self-publish because of ownership for the future.
All right. And like I tell all my guests, you know what I'm saying? We got some time here, so
Mm.
we ain't gotta give them the brief, you know what I'm saying? We can really get down to the meat and potatoes and just talk about, you know, that's where you at now, but
Mm.
where did you come from and how did you get to
Oh,
that point?
wow. Good question. So I came from whew. So, right, I love telling my age because I got a story. I'm 40, right?
I'm 45. I'm up there with
And,
you.
you know, so with that age, you know, a lot of people say with age come wisdom, things of that nature, right? And I feel like in my mind, I'm like 80 years old. All the things that I saw, all the trauma growing up, Fort Greene, Atlantic terminals, downtown Brooklyn, Gowanus, you know, the projects. We was NYCHA babies, New York City Housing Authority. So growing up, you know, coming up in the 80s and 90s, you saw so much, so much. Now that I'm realizing like this is not normal. When I was younger, it was normal to be average drug dealer, stick up kid. You know, don't get me wrong. Respectfully speaking, you have those certain people that make it out positive. But go to the NBA, you have these people. It's just that my who I was inspired to be wasn't those people. I only looked at Michael Jordan on television. I never met him. So I was inspired to play ball and stuff, but looking through the lens of the camera. But the people that I actually physically knew, peers and people I look up to, they was hustlers, they was drug dealers, they was dope dealers, they was, you know, even some pimps, you know, and, you know, unfortunately, a lot of those guys end up getting life in prison or, you know, the cliche dead or in jail. A couple of them might have made it out, and you don't even see them no more because they caught they come up and they out in the suburbs somewhere. But for the most part, I came out of poverty, and through that was trials and tribulations. Uh, and I'm not making excuses, of course, but I took the wrong path at one point. No excuses, no justification to all the young people watching. You always have a choice. So just because you're poor, just because you're broke, don't mean you have to do something negative. You can have discipline. You can have the patience, knowing that your time will come eventually to get whatever you want. You don't have to commit crimes, things like that. So at one point, I was sidetracked, got caught up in living a lifestyle that I saw was easy, fast, greedy. I wanted to be, you know, I ain't care about patience.
Right.
So with that being said, I got caught up in the streets. So I got caught up in the streets as time progressed. Found myself doing, went from small crimes like selling drugs to doing bigger crimes, getting away with stuff too. And then, you know, at some point, I ended up taking the ultimate, which I
Right.
was assisted in a jewelry store heist. I'm not
Right.
ashamed to say. So I ended up getting caught up. I ended up doing like 5 years as a getaway driver. You know, thank God I ain't, you know, nobody got hurt, nobody got killed in the process because, you know, I didn't know then. But aiding and abetting, because all the time when I talk about crime, I like to give some information about law. So, real fast for the young people that don't know, I didn't know this until I actually insisted. Even though you may think, oh, I'm just a driver, y'all get caught, you still gonna do some time. Guess what else? Also, even if you didn't go and actually partake in the crime, another law what they have in a federal statute is called acting incarceration. I'm sorry, acting in concert, forgive me. So they have acting in concert, and they have a statute also where it can be you can be guilty by association is the cliche, but now they have so much terms and laws that we don't know about to the young people that think they're gonna just get caught up with a crime. Nah, you could be a participant over the phone and be the ringleader. You don't even got to be there, you know. But not too much to talk about the crime part. I always just like to drop a few jewels because at that point,
That's needed. You know what I'm saying?
at that point, I was just thinking, yo, you know, even if we fail, I'm just a getaway driver. I ain't gonna do no time. I was naive, you get what I'm saying? I ain't really care. I was just like, yo, whatever, I'm just a driver. But anyway, ended up doing some time. And I learned so much about law to where I got my mind right and I'm like, I want to give back.
Right.
And I want to start to educate other people. That's why I'm not ashamed to talk about my past. Because I talk to young, different children. Now, not as much because of COVID. So right before COVID, I was going into different schools and being able
Just
to
picked it right back up. Right
absolutely,
here, you know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
they getting it right now, and like I said, it's very much needed because it's very easy to get in trouble. It's very hard to get out of it. You know what I'm saying? And there's not too many. I won't say positive role models, just role models. Period. All of those people that you name. Okay, my step pops was a bank robber, and he put me in the streets to go rob banks. He did that so we could have a better life. So it's all about what's your why reason that you do stuff. You know what I'm saying? To make you do it. But once again, those same people, they didn't push you for that life. You know, they pushed you for better. Whether they was a wino, a crackhead, a dope fiend, they didn't want you to suffer the way they suffered. And that's the difference about these generations, you know. The kids don't have too much, I say knowledge, because they don't get these type of one-on-ones or any type of productive discussions now. You know, the discussions they're talking about is the strip club and this and you know what I'm saying, and the popping and bottles and popping a molly and you know, just all the crazy stuff that there's nothing wrong with what you do, but it's how you do it. You know what I'm saying? It's not for the world for you to present to the world. That's the impression that you're given of yourself, you know. And you broke it down real good. And the main point was to hear you talking now about where you at and where your mind is at and what you can do, but they don't know that it was a time where even you had to, you know, come together and pull yourself back together and build yourself back up to the man that you are now, you know?
Thank you, and I appreciate that definitely. I said all that to say it wasn't, you know, even with me doing my first book, which was Pray for Us, you know, to those that might have saw me on Fulton Street, downtown Brooklyn, Harlem, 125th, Jamaica Ave. I was hand in hand with my books, you know.
I think that's where I seen you at
Yeah,
a
I did
festival
that.
down
I did
there.
that in like 2003, and then I was like 23, so I wrote a novel, Pray for Us. It was a hood novel, street, real grimy, talking about the streets. I went self-published that, put them out. Overall, I probably sold probably about 300,000 copies, just hand in hand. But now I ain't got the, I don't got the energy to just be out selling books. So you can find them different places, but you can email me, of course. We not solely telling you where to get them from, but you can email me. I'm at all the answers 1000. So that's all the answers 1000 at Gmail for any information if you're interested.
Yeah.
But so it took me to learn a business of not only book selling but also marketing, different things like that, and also knowing the network and understand that have patience. You know what I say to the young people now: have patience. You know.
They want it overnight.
Yeah, I wanted. I'll be honest. I was greedy. I wanted all. You know. I wanted overnight success, you know.
Right.
One of my, you know, a part of my journey is a lot of people that's familiar with Christianity and you know, the Bibles, right? It was a story about the prodigal son, and he didn't want to have patience. He ran down on his father, which had his inheritance, like, yo, give me all that right now. So he got his pops like, here, take the inheritance, whatever, right? Pops gave it to him. He went and squandered all of the inheritance and came back like, yo, give me forgiveness. You feel me? So I relate to that story a lot because at a young age, people, don't get me wrong, I had some people dropping little jewels in my ear. But the thing is, when you don't have these people in your everyday life, you might have a mentor that you speak to once every 6 months. And if you have a certain discipline, a certain patience, and a certain uh, specialty about you, not to get sidetracked and not to fall victim of the law of attraction, it could work for you. But for the most part, if you're seeing this every day, you getting caught up, and a lot now with social media. This is before social media, I got caught up in the streets. But now with social media, it's so enticing. And trust me, all these people not winning. Everybody can't be winning. So I want to say, like, yo, to people that's out there really looking at like social media and being influenced, you can't believe all of this. Everybody's not winning. Everybody's not rich. A lot of cars are rented. And it's cool if you rent a car. Nothing wrong with that. I've rented cars too in my time. But what I want to say to the younger generation, because they got a lot of like younger generation, a lot of kids were shooting each other now. Like, it's a lot of shooting. Don't get me wrong. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, it was a lot of shooting, but it was for different reasons. And I'm not justifying it, right? You got these young kids now beefing over social media. This person said this about that person, and now y'all really got beef. Before, and not to justify it, it might have been over a whole territory where, yo, we beefing over this whole block. Yo, y'all coming over here selling drugs. This is our money. Y'all stepping on our turf. Now, it's so big, so many different platforms, you can go and make your money so many different ways. There's so many outlets, so much information, which I lacked as a younger guy. And like I said, not to justify, but just to tell my side of it, I lacked a lot of information and resources. Now, so many resources, so much information out there that is really no excuse. You don't have to resort to a life of crime.
You do have to do your research.
Absolutely.
See what's real and then what's not, because unfortunately, thanks to the last president, there's a lot of this alternative facts bullcrap out there, where it's just not true, is lies, is fake, but they present it as alternative facts, and these kids soak that stuff up. You know what I'm saying? They soak it up. You know, when I was listening to you, I was thinking, in our day and time growing up, we'd be under the jail right now with the social media and the cameras on the street lights and the cameras everywhere and the people pulling out the phone everywhere. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. They won't ever get that thrill or that rush. Like, you did something. You know what I'm saying?
I'm glad you said that too. I'm so glad that you brought that up. Is because a lot of people, and not to discredit or not to, it's only my opinion, but
it's needed.
I like to give a viewpoint of sometimes, right? Younger kids, they do it for a thrill. They do it out of boredom, especially now with quarantine, self-distancing, and it. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. When I was 17, 18, we went to like big clubs like the Tunnel, right? I don't know anybody that know about the Tunnel in Manhattan, where you would see celebrities there. But we wasn't being groupies. They would have their section, they in VIP. We young hood dudes, not to glorify, but we were young drug dealers dudes, and we made our own money, and we felt just like them.
They made you feel like that.
We had our own adrenaline rush.
They made you
being
feel
able
like
to
that.
go pop bottles and stand on the tables and act crazy after a long week,
Let me
right?
tell you, my first time in Bentley's, they said, "Hey, where you been at? You ain't been here in a while." And it was my first time, and from the time I walked through the door, that was it. This was my club right here.
Absolutely.
This was where I was going to go.
And what happens now with certain people, they get adrenaline from wherever they get it from. So you might not be able to go to the club. So dudes is bored. So now we got so much time on our hands, and a lot was happening as young people. They're sitting back and they're thinking about, what can I do next? I want this attention. I want that. I want this. And the stuff that we went and got attention for, the adrenaline rush, spending money in the clubs and going to strip clubs. And you can't even go to a decent strip club nowadays, you know what I'm saying? But if you do, whatever, they got some open where you can wear a mask, things like that. But the rush and the adrenaline that some people yearn for, a lot of young people that never felt that hear these artists rap about it, they're looking for it. So they seeking the adrenaline, they desiring these
Just
things
seeking,
and
seeking that.
instant gratification.
It's like a high. They're just seeking
Absolutely.
that high.
So the drugs is different. Speaking of seeking highs, right? So the drugs is different. Now they popping all kind of pills and when I was growing up, it was some alcohol and weed. That's it. And you had other people that did coke and then it was crack.
Angel dust.
The thing about it is when we were young and you were doing more than drinking and weed, you was a crackhead. You was an addict. You was a drug addict. Now, you do drugs and it's like these young kids is making it normal. That's not normal. It ain't supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? We ain't supposed to put nothing in our bodies, truthfully, but it wasn't normal that you just pop all these Xannies and mixing this and that and Percocets and this drugs.
The weed people act like crackheads now. Okay, they stealing and robbing for a little bag of weed. So
it's crazy out here. But on a positive note, back to the original question of where I started. I came from the streets, came from from poverty, and over time I had my trials and tribulations, and I'm still not perfect. I'm still not rich, but I'm to a point where I understand the balance.
I mean, what kind of family structure did you have? Was your parents there, or they just let you run wild like Jim, like just go?
Wow, a good question. So what my family structure, my mom went to work. My mom's she was a registered nurse. She's retired now. So my mom went to work and my dad was in the streets. My dad would be in the gambling spots. My dad would be doing certain things, and over the course of time, he wasn't dropping jewels on me no more. He kind of felt like, yo, I gave you enough. He'll see me cutting school and he'll just shake his head at me. Like when I started to mess up, he didn't keep talking to me. He kind of like gave up on dropping jewels. You get what I'm trying to say? So my pops, he used to drop jewels on me when I was younger, but he wasn't in my life. Like, he wasn't in my life like, yo, come practice on your jump shot. Yo, you want to play ball? Let's go there. Let's do. So he'd drop his jewels, but I still was running the streets. My mom's at work. She working sometimes 2 shifts. So what I remember, my pops never really had a career. My pops was like a construction dude / hustling dude. He never really fully had a career. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But one thing I respect about my pops, he didn't always have a career, but he didn't always want extravagant things. He's very frugal. He was frugal. He never really wanted, even though my moms and pops, they got a house now in Flatbush and all that. They've been had a house for 20 years, but that was mainly because of my moms. That's the odd thing. A lot of women are doing their own independent things. She was with my pops for companionship, and it's 7 of us. So they was there, but my mom's was the breadwinner in my household. So my mom's was working 2 shifts, and I'm out running around. My pops was doing whatever he wanted to do. So I had jewels that I got here and there, but overall, someone watching over me and making sure I did the right thing, nah, I didn't have that. Which gave me a lot of time on my hand to resort to guys that I saw getting fast money.
But don't forget, okay, we grew up in Giuliani times, the stuff that was happening, and Yusef Hawkins and Tawana Brawley, and just living in nature and having to deal with 2 different sets of police. You got the housing police, okay, that probably got a precinct in your development, and then you got the police that come there and police the projects too. So it was like just set in stone from slavery time when they removed the male from the household, and then after slavery it was the male in jail, and then a few generations before us they were set on going into the service, and then Vietnam happened, and everybody came back strung out on drugs, mind gone from what they seen over there. They didn't even diagnose PSTD and all of that stuff, for them. So they just had to just go through it on their own, cold turkey, basically. So you never forget that right there.
Absolutely. And that's what I was saying originally. I thought that this was normal. I thought it was normal. Like, I started going to Manhattan probably in high school. I started going to Manhattan, and where I started to see more. But for the most part, my young years was Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, going to different projects, hanging out there. I didn't really have I didn't really see a lot of places. I didn't visit a lot of places. So I didn't know. Like I'm like, all right, this is what it is, you know. At one point, when I first went to Rikers Island at 16 years old for a gun charge, after that, my mother's like, oh, you bugging. She sent me to Tennessee, you know what I'm saying?
Get away.
And I only lasted like 6 months, you know, and oddly enough, it wasn't even a relative. It was my mother's friend. It was a friend of my mother's that I knew as I was young. But by the time I went, she moved out to Tennessee, but she still knew me as a young kid. By then, my mom was corrupt, so I went to Tennessee, and I'm selling weed, I'm doing this, and she like, what the hell you doing?
Yeah,
you know,
slow pace compared to New York.
Absolutely. So it was easier for me to get into stuff because it was just like, oh, y'all want weed? All right, well, let me figure out how I could get y'all weed. My thing was figuring out how to make money wherever I was. I'm like, yo, I'm a hustle. So I went. My mom's thinking she gonna send me out to Tennessee. Man, I was out there doing all kind of stuff. And so when my aunt found out about it, she like, yo, well, I call her my aunt, but she wasn't really my aunt. She sent me back, like, get out of here, boy. She sent me back to New York, and you know, whatever I did.
That would cause a problem with her and your mom's if she allowed you to stay
You know
down
the
there
interesting thing?
do that. So
The interesting thing, they're still good friends.
yeah,
They're still good friends. And that was back when you get caught with a gun and you do like 30 days, an illegal gun, you know, because of course you can get the right. That's another thing to our young people. You got to find out how you can get the right permits, carry permits for these guns, you know, constitutions. You have the right to bear arms. So a lot of people not taught that. Because when I was young, I didn't even know. Like, I thought that, okay, you just pick up a gun, you wear a gun, you defend yourself, right? You keep a gun to defend yourself. I didn't know, like, yo, I could go and get paperwork at a certain age to have the right to bear arms, even though it's harder in New York. But the point I was making was back then, you would do 30 days on Rikers Island or something for a gun charge. Now, you get 5 years for a gun charge if convicted. You get 5 years.
and then
Federally, on your
after,
second charge, federally, you could do up to 10 years or more. And if you repeat a felon, more and more. So
and not even that. Now they have it set up where you have to come to the precinct once you're released and meet with them every month. They sit down.
Oh, parole.
Right.
Parole, all of that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. You got parole. So you got so much stuff going on. And that's what and my advice to all, you know, young people and old. Because some old guys still like, you know, they think they're going to keep being in the streets. This is the time right now, if ever, to get your life together. It's too much surveillance. It's too much everything. And besides, you just want to be a good person. You know what I'm saying? You just want to do the right thing. You just want to abide by the law. That way you don't find yourself in trouble. So with me, after I was released, I said to my family and myself, first and foremost, yo, I'm going to do the right thing. Since then, since my release in 2016, I have not encountered any law enforcement. I don't do any crime. I got pulled over probably once. You know what I'm saying? Right. And the odd thing is, I got pulled over during COVID, right? So I made a right turn on a no turn, whatever. So I made a right. Cops pulled me over, license and registration. I didn't care. I had my, you know I ain't got no warrants. I know I'm a law-abiding citizen. Right. Gave them my license registration, and I spoke to them. It was probably a Spanish guy and a black guy, right? Officers, right? So I'm like, yeah, whatever. He like, yo, you know what you did wrong? I'm like, yeah, I turned to right. On a no turn, I know. Give me my ticket. I gotta go. But I spoke to them respectfully, right? COVID. I had on my mask. They had on their mask, and we talking to each other. And so I'm speaking to them respectfully, like, yo, listen, I understand. Y'all just doing your job. No big deal. You know, write my ticket. I ain't gonna argue with you. Here, I got my license, registration, everything legit. And I spoke to them. Oddly enough, they ran my license, so everything was good, and they saw that I was respectable. They came back to the car and said, yo, you know what? We're gonna let you. We're gonna let you pass. We ain't even gonna write your ticket. Just be careful, drive safely. And this was like when COVID first started. So everybody was looking like, you know, when we first got the news, like this was probably like in March of 2020, I'm sorry. Probably like in March, April.
When the streets was empty.
Yeah. So it was like one of those times. So oddly enough, and the reason why I brought that up is to say, don't get me wrong, it is racism. It is law enforcement. Some of them are, you know, they're just ignorant to a lot of things dealing with skin and race. And I have to put this in there, right? Because you have a lot of people that's so against
But
police.
this is the narrative that you put it out there. But when our kids walk out the door before they leave the house, we always have to give them the same talk right here. You know what I'm
Absolutely, and I
saying?
tell my
So
children all the time. I always let them know. Listen, it's good people, it's bad people. It's some black people that would hate you more than white people. It's some white people that would just hate you just because of the color of your skin. So we got black people killing black people, people killing white people. You have all different types of people in life. When you encounter this evil, you'll know. And sometimes when you encounter evil, right, you have to know when to fight evil with evil or fight evil with good. And a lot of times, a conversation, not all the time, but a conversation or just being able to humble yourself in that moment can save a lot. A lot of lives, a lot of people. And I'm not justifying anything or any reason of any act of violence or anything upon somebody, whether it's racism, whether this person having a bad mood, road rage, encounter with law enforcement. But I wanted to say that I was surprised, for one, that they didn't give me a ticket. Surprisingly, because I was aware of these tactics and learning to combat aggression or law enforcement with just being humble. It doesn't always work, but I humbled myself and I thought about all of the different law enforcement because I encountered a lot of law enforcement throughout my whole duration of incarceration. And some officers were negative and some of them was positive. Like, hey Sam, you know, I see you you're reading, you're exercising, you know, you got your whole life ahead of you. When you get out of here, you do something great with yourself. Then I had other officers that was just like, you'll be back. So you have these two, it's a balance of life. It's always a positive and a negative. And when you, I wanted to tell a positive side because it's not always negative. I did have negative encounters, but what I wanted to say to our people overall, anybody, sometimes when you encounter law enforcement or you have negative people that you encounter, I could suggest that you just humble yourself and try to diffuse or get away from that situation as swift as possible. And sometimes it takes just humbling yourself. You can have on your mind, you want to say all type of stuff. And sometimes I could, and they call it insanity now when you talk to yourself. But I talk in my head to myself sometimes and I be like, let me just get out of here. It's your conscience talking to you. So you might think, oh, naturally, you don't even notice that. It's your conscience. You're talking to yourself.
You see weirdos, okay? That's the word of 2021 is weirdos. You know when somebody just talking to themselves and they just losing their mind and they, you know what I'm saying, Looney Tunes, you know that 7:30 look.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, sometimes you have to remind yourself. Sometimes I talk to myself. Sometimes people do that to conquer fears or, you know what I'm saying, just to build up that courage on whatever they're doing or to remind themselves. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with that. As you can see, the time always flies here.
Absolutely.
We talked about your moms, your parents,
Yeah,
so much.
let's do it.
You have to give them a shout out. You know what I'm
Yo,
saying?
man, shout out to Miss Cephas, Mr. Cephas, man. And the thing about it, they still able-bodied, healthy. You know, they own a home in Brooklyn. They're great. They was great. They did what they knew in terms of parenting. And I never justify anything or I never make excuses for myself. My pops, he was great. My moms were great in their own ways. We don't have pamphlets. Even I say this to myself. Now, raising my children, there's no real guidelines or rules to raise children. You go as you go. Take it day by day, week by week, month by month. Next thing you know, your children are adults. So shout out to them. They did a great job. Yeah, I disappointed y'all. It is what it is. But I appreciate all the support.
Your opinion, once again, they might not be disappointed because you see, as a parent, you know, no matter what your kids do, they always gonna have your support 100% behind them. So you have to remember that those is your parents too, and you can't speak for them.
Yeah,
if they tell you that, that's different.
They did. Okay. My pops told me, man, I'm disappointed in you. Man, he found out I went on that jewelry store heist. Man, I'm disappointed in you. You stupid, man. What you
went from there to here, so you
absolutely.
You should be proud
so now,
watching now.
When I talk to him, the communication is absolutely different. He knows, you know, he grandchildren. I'm doing the right thing. No criminal activities.
You're doing big things.
So I can't. I got away from that criminal side of it. And now, on a positive note, that, you know, the brief background, during that, the odd thing is, while I was incarcerated, I met a Jewish dude, right? Moist. Shout out to Moist, man.
All right.
Yo, this dude was in
Mose.
there for all kind of
Scamming.
all kind of like stock scams, right? So when I found out what he was doing, he explained to me. He said the same thing. He said he was just being greedy, right? So he did like some Ponzi scheme stuff with that. But the good thing is, he taught me how to trade stocks, right?
Right.
So what happened is, as I started to learn about the stock market, I started talking to my wife. Shout out to Julie, my wife. We've been together 17 years. You know, she was a big support system during my incarceration as well as my family. So big shout out to her, right? So the point is, I learned a lot from Moy. She started telling me about the stock market. I started being able to understand, and I started to read and understand the stock market. So while I was incarcerated, I taught my wife, yo, listen, you got to watch these stocks. And it's not even difficult. Of course, I don't have enough time to tell you. And I'm still learning the market. It's always volatile, so much going on with the stocks, right?
And we're gonna bring you back for
But
that. You know,
absolutely,
if they request that knowledge, give them your email once again.
Sure.
They can get that over there.
All
also.
the answers 1000@gmail.com. So that's all the answers 1000@gmail.com. So I brought that up to say I started a trading program, Crown Imperial Trading, which is part of my clothing line. Well, it's under the same umbrella of. I just wanted to promote a little bit, but I know I can't give out too much information here. So again, email me,
Right.
but and not even about promoting, just awareness. Rather, we're going to use the word awareness. So I got to watch what I say. You know, it's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But anyway, for the people, right? So trading is simple. It seems difficult, and we're not taught this, of course. You got to go out. There's so many courses, and I done lost money in the markets. I'll be real with you. I first started, I lost about $1,500 my first week, thinking I'm gonna just jump in, buy stocks, and buy up this, and it's gonna flip. And no, it's volatile. You got to watch daily. I don't even long-term trade anymore. I do two things. I swing trade and I day trade. And that's where I see my profits at. Also, I started an organization, Crown Imperial Trading.
Okay, so that was the next chapter.
Oh,
It was the
yo,
stocks and
it's
stuff,
so
right?
much, man.
Okay. Now, the new chapter was the Crown Imperial.
Absolutely, man, because I don't waste no time. That's one thing about me. I really value time. That's all we have. Time, health, and between time and health, you create certain things that's going to bring you income to support your family and to get things in life where you want to be, whether it's traveling, whether it's luxury cars or homes. But time and health is the two most important things besides family. And I put God first as well. God-fearing man. You know, I want to sound self-righteous, but I do pray. I do follow righteous steps now. Even the sad part is before my incarceration, I had a relationship with God, you know, and I just wanted to be disobedient. You know, I'm no excuse.
It's just strange. Like,
absolutely.
we grew up going to church every week, and then that was like Sunday, and then during the week, we raised hell.
Ain't nobody watching you. You feel like you could get away with everything, you know?
Right. And then you're back in church on Sunday again, with that Bible sitting there watching the choir. So
absolutely. And so, you know, I listen, this is life. God willing, I still have another 40 years. Who knows?
You're still young.
You know, yeah, we always, as long as you staying out of negative environments and you continue to walk in a righteous, prosperous, positive mood and moment and spirit, I feel blessed. So each day I take it day by day, and fruition, I'm just speaking it all into fruition. So I learned how to trade incarcerated from another dude that used the stock market for criminal activities, whatever was going on in his case. I was able to empower myself as well as my wife, and now we both trade. We started Crown Imperial Trading, things like that. So with that being said, it's very lucrative, but you have to understand the markets, right? So back to the book. I actually wrote this while incarcerated. So I wrote.
So we're talking about this book.
Absolutely.
Right? Wait, 1 second before you get to this book, because you left out one other thing, two things rather.
Okay.
What's the name of your show? Because you're a fellow producer also.
Absolutely.
With the Bronx Net representing here.
Yo, shout out to BronxNet. And I'll be real with you. I had two different shows on there. I had So, Sex Love Relations was a show that I started on BronxNet.
Okay.
It aired a few times. And also, Beauty, which was my nonprofit, Beautiful Empowerment, Always Uplifting the Youthful, was another show I started on BronxNet. It aired a few times. Due to COVID and other things, I kind of got discouraged. So I don't have that show there. But I do have other avenues. I'm not sure how much I could talk about those. So what I will say is if you want more information, all the answers 1000 at gmail.com because I'm limited on the information I can give. And but yeah, so I started those shows, which originally turned into started from me just writing. I had so much time on my hand, so I was always
Utilize it.
absolutely. So I was writing, writing. I got about 6 books right now that I'm about to continue to publish. This one is my second self-published novel, and from there, you know, if somebody talking the right amount for the right check with the right ownership, we could talk.
But you have the visuals also, because it's one more thing also
Sure.
is the web series.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
So Ja did his research. Ja did his research.
Yes.
So
and you be very modest, but I noticed it was 67,000 views, 67Ks. That's a lot. You know.
I ain't even know. I didn't even
Yes.
know it was up to that.
Yes.
I ain't even know.
So people are watching.
Because I kind of filmed it, just me wanting to do something, and my time is, I take time very precious. So I was just a couple of reasons why I stopped. A lot of times when I'm the type of person, I don't like to depend on other people too much. That's why I self-published my novel, my other novel. I would film. I depended on BronxNet, their time, different things didn't work with my schedule, so I just started doing my own thing. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm always willing to work with other people, but if I'm continually dedicated to something and you're not, I alleviate myself from the situation immediately because my time is very precious. I'm not gonna wait around for somebody else. I'd rather go educate my children, do something empowering with my family, go see my parents rather than wait around on somebody else. So what happened with me filming Zero Money Down, which I wrote, I directed, produced, did it all myself besides editing. Shout out to Omega. He did some editing. He did mainly all the editing. But I went and bought my own cameras. I bought my own props, had my own locations, and then I just got other people to work with that acted. At the time, I didn't have the budget to pay them. So I guess that's why they felt like or whatever reasons where,
and
you
don't
know,
forget
people.
the original music. Don't leave that.
Oh, the original music. Shout out to Checkmate Trizzo. He did some original music. And I actually, back when I wanted to rap, I did some rapping on it too. Because, you know, I wore many hats in life, you know. I went to a phase of me wanting to be a rapper. And
there's nothing wrong with that.
As I grow, I outgrown wanting to be a rapper. I don't want to, you know, it's other ways to make money. It's other ways to, you know, project my energy. So, you know, I had the talent to put words together, and that's why I decided to write. Writing, I could do this 70 years old as long as these hands and as long as I could type, I could put that story. Whereas with rapping, and no disrespect to anybody, in terms of our culture, it's a lot of, don't get me wrong, it's conscious rap too. But I just felt like that wasn't how I wanted to get my point across. And then you got everybody, and people write books too. No disrespect to anyone. People have different walks of where they get into in life. I just thought it would be more simple for me to write about it. Not as many people read, and that's where the visual come in. Back to what you were saying. So I started Zero Money Down. I wanted to project the visual. So then people, they start these series, and then when you're dealing with a lot of different characters, but you may get 1 million views or whatever, and YouTube pay you or whatever channels pay you. At some point, the people that you're acting with wants part of that money. And they may think you're making a lot of money off a certain amount of views, and that's not always the case. So when the business side of it, I decided to pull back from the series because it included other people. Where other people started making decisions on your life, you have to distinguish where and how far you will go, or you have to sit down and write contracts to what people are getting a percentage. So it's a lot of business side
and
that
grinding.
Grinding.
You can't just settle on one thing. That's just like you just sitting back and say, oh, I'm gonna let the book sell. I ain't gonna do nothing else. I ain't doing stocks. I ain't doing this. I'm not doing that. So that's where the mindset was wrong with them. You know what I'm saying? You let that stuff flow. You see how you didn't even know it's 67K
Yo,
views. You know what I'm saying?
the interesting thing, the funny thing about that, right? It's a quick story. You know, shout out to Omega, man. So the dude that I was dealing with, he's a cool dude. We still got a good relationship. But the funny thing is now you know, it was under a production company that I started, Capitalized Production.
Right.
You know, whatever YouTube sent the check to wherever, I didn't get paid off it. I didn't really care. It's not a big deal to me.
Hey,
I just
as
did
long
it.
as they sent the check, you know what I'm saying? Somebody got it.
What happened was the dude, without my knowledge, he went and put it under his production company name. So I thought it was funny. And then I'm like, wow, we ain't even getting no money from this. So it just shows you relationships. Shout out to him. We still got a cool relationship. We spoke about it briefly, and he said, yo, I just thought you didn't care, so I just put it under my production. So he basically took the product that we took and took it from under capitalized productions and put it under. I'm not even gonna shed light on his production company, but the good thing about it is, and you know, whether it's I give it all the glory to God. I have so many, you know, not to toot my own horn, but my mind have so much different things come to me. I could be sleeping and think of a great idea. I wake up, I jot it down, and a week from now, I might put it to life. You know, and some say it's not good to juggle so much at once. But I learned how to make this balance. I could get paid off for different things. So the dude that did that, he limited himself because now, and he's still cool. We correspond here and there through social media, and we spoke a few times. But what happened is, now I know how you work. So I'm like, oh, this is what people do? This is why people talk bad about all these different business people, because they just little stuff like that.
Petty.
Which I thought was very petty, but for whatever reason, he did it. But now I know how to move, and that's bring me back to independence and entrepreneurship and owning your own. You know, to the young people, it's always good to network and partner with people, but be careful. Sign contracts. Think of the business side, not just your passion. Think of passion as well as business.
Future, think of residual income. Think about money that's going to keep coming in, not just money that you made for work last week. You know what I'm saying? If you don't go to work this week, you ain't getting paid. Think about something that's going to keep flowing and rolling and rolling and rolling. You know?
Absolutely. And that's where I'm at with it. I actually, you know, I sat down and I structured out business plans. So this was years in the making. You know, sex, love, relationships was years in the making. Yes, and I have more to come with that. But back to the book. So
let's get to the book now.
Absolutely. So sex, love, relations. The reason why I took the word relationships and just tucked it into relations, because it's sort of cliche, but I talk about these three main topics. As I was speaking to one of your producers earlier, so he's like,
please break it down for
absolutely.
him.
So he said, he looks at the title of the book, he's like, sex, love, relations, isn't that the same thing? So based on my opinion and some fact, right? I had to research that it's not the same thing. And a lot of people, you know, us, even myself, you know, in my younger days, I thought that it was sex, love, and relations all in one, right? So here's the difference, right? Love could be without sex. You can just have a love for something. It could be whether it's passion or a love for a person. You might just love this person. Whether it could be your parent and you have a relationship with them, of course, you know, without me saying, and there's no sex involved. So you could love someone with no sex. You can have sex with someone with no love. And you can have a relationship without either. I can have a business relationship with you. There's no love, there's no sex, right? So you got your relationship, whether it's business or just a relationship of me going out to party with you, or, you know, parties is limited. People flying all the way to Atlanta just to party now. But shout out to everybody.
Cheap. Right, it's cheap.
Shout out to everybody that's flying to another state to party.
It's cheap,
you know,
and guess what? They got a whole their own different coronavirus down there. So you run down there, run your ass down there.
Absolutely. You know so so basically with the book, I broke down the different states of sex, love, and relationships, which I had to learn, and which of course I had to understand to grow. with different relationships of people and to be more compassionate.
So this is not a hood novel. This
No,
is more of a
not at all.
research and
It's more of a self-help book. If you want to title it or put it into a genre, it'll be self-help. Whereas I'm talking based on opinion and some fact, giving my opinion on different relationships. So I'm giving relationship advice. I'm giving sex advice about sex. Also, I'm giving a love advice where, you know, how to love a little bit and also being on guard for love and also not categorizing everything as love. You know, what defines love nowadays? So a woman or a man, we may have good sex and you like, I love this person.
that's where it mess up.
Yo, but you just might love the way it feels. And then the person might treat you bad. You know? So
But
it could
then
be
that is feeling good. So
Absolutely.
it cancels the bad. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So this is a lot of different things that we don't look at. You can love money. You can let money dictate your life, like the love of money, the money, what it does for you, what you can buy from it. That
Some
can
people just live for that, just money hungry. You know what I'm
absolutely.
saying? So-
I went through that phase before. You know, I went through a phase where it was just all about money, like money, money, money. I woke up, I dreamed about money. I woke up like, yo, I gotta go do something tomorrow to get some more money. I didn't have the balance, which I had to. Once I reevaluated myself, I realized there's nothing wrong with that. There's
Yeah, it's
nothing
almost
wrong
like
with
a panic-
constantly.
right. It's like a panic attack. Like you just need a bunch of hoodies, and I ran out of hoodies. I don't got a hoodie for next week. Right? It's
Absolutely.
like
So it's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with loving money or the value of money or what it can do. It's just channeling that thought process on how to get it legally and how to set it up to where it's structured and it's profitable. And that's what I had to learn. How to make this, how do I package back to the streets, right? One of my correlation, this is how I correlate it now as a businessman. So I was a successful drug dealer, right? Not to glorify it, but I was successful at some point. I didn't get rich, but I was successful too. I got what I needed to do, and I did certain things that was profitable, right? So I take that same business mindset, right? And I put it in, wow, what did we do? If I could package and distribute a narcotic, I can do the same for content. I packaged, first I had to get the content, right? So once I wrote the content, copywritten it, got it all typed up, I packaged it. So the writing and everything was the manufacturing. So I manufactured the product, right?
Right.
Then I packaged it, right? Now through marketing, you market and you distribute. You could take those simple steps, you know, those simple steps, you could put it into anything. And once I understood that, I'm on to something. So this is just only, you know, I can't really say it's the beginning or the middle or the end, but I'm on to something to where I'm able to understand myself, understand business, and have these different relationships with different people to where I'm actually flourishing. And I spoke some things into existence. And with the grace of God, things are working.
What comes out your mouth.
Absolutely.
You bring some of that bad stuff to us by saying, oh, damn, it's the words that come out. You know what I'm saying? That brings that energy. Once again, see the time runs real fast.
Absolutely.
But I do want to ask you specifically with sex, love, and relations, what was your why to write in this book right here?
Sure. For one, sex always sells, right? So sex, for one, besides the business part of it, is I always thought with sales, right? Even though I'm married, right? I love my wife. My wife is so attractive. I found myself, you still may look or glimpse at another woman, not to lust for her, not saying, yo, just because I look at her that I'm lusting for her, right? No, it's just a sex appeal. You may look at someone and say, hey, she's attractive, she's sexy, right? So I always thought that's natural. That's natural. Whatever you like, it's a natural sex appeal that humans have. It's human nature. So we're attracted to like sex appeal, not the act of sex itself, but something could be sexy. I realized that I think certain cars are sexy. I'm like, wow, and we use the terminology and think of it as only sexual. But you can think something is enticing which now I transition and I say, wow, that's sexy. I might not say that's appealing. I might use that.
But I mean, why did you write this? What
Okay,
made you write this specific topic? Because
I'm
your
getting to it.
previous book was a hood novel.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Perfect. I'm glad that you said that. So to answer Jock's question, right? And back to what I was saying. So we talking about sex, love, and relationships, right? So it's like even myself, right? Besides health, time, wealth, family, right? Another equation is sex, right?
You need that.
Sex is natural.
Right,
You should naturally feel sexy. Naturally, you lust. People just want sex, right? It's a natural given by even in the animal kingdom. Dogs, the reproduction system, right? Reproduce, right? So sex, right? That was
They
the
use
first word.
senses that we don't use, okay? Because they smell, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Things go over our head, but
So after I wrote
they're in tune.
the street novel, right? I wasn't that proud of myself, even though some people might have commended me, said, "Hey, you did your thing, boom, boom, boom. I read your book, boom, boom. It was a street novel." So as I evolved, I wanted to write a topic that I feel strongly that's universal, right? That everyone can relate to. So no matter who, even if you're deaf, dumb, or blind, you have a sexual desire for something. So I wanted to put into the title and into the structure something that would be universally eye-catching, something that everyone would talk about, something that everyone wanted to read about. And even if they don't read it, at least it would stand out because they can relate to it, which is sex, as well as money and different things. So I wanted to talk about sex, love, and relations because as I evolved, and the street side is this. It's always going to be the streets. It's always going to be the criminals. I'll get back to that. I'll let the rappers talk about the streets and all that for now. I wanted to talk about sex because I evolved, and I wanted to talk about different things of attraction, of the law of attraction, whether it's money and also a big part, sex. So back to the story with my wife. I desire my wife, right? So I felt that sex is universal, that people talk to and people can relate to. Love as well, whether it's love and it corresponds with hate. So I wanted people to start to understand love as we grow as a people. And relationships, which is the third part, relations, I just took off the ships part. So relations is we have different relationships with people. So I wanted people to understand what I had to understand. Sex, love, relations is universal, but it's all distinct. So it's all distinguished into its different categories, right? So, like I said, you can love someone, never have sex with them. You can have sex with somebody, never love them. You have a relationship with somebody, never have sex or love. So I wanted to talk about these topics because it's different relationships, which is universal. It's common to have relationships, it's common to have sex, and it's common to have love. I wanted to break those down, talk about my sexual experiences, which I'm happy that I came to a place which it took a long time to get there, to understand about sex and sexual stimulations and sexual desires and to have discipline. I talk about discipline.
And all of that is in there?
All of that is in
Okay.
that book. We talk about discipline. We talk about sex. We talk about love. So, I know the time is limited, but basically,
Well, we bringing you back. Come on.
absolutely.
bringing
So
you back,
the reason to answer your question, for one, I wanted to do something that was universally talked about. So anyone can relate to this book from any different walk of life, as long as you know about sex or interested in sex, right?
Oh, everybody's interested.
Yeah, everybody at some point, from a child to they're going to be interested in sex. So this book, I wanted to think about something that was longevity. 20, 30, 40, God willing, as long as it's humanity on earth, that this book will be talked about. Somebody would have it on their shelf. Somebody would pick this book up so that when I'm gone, a part of my legacy would be this book. So to answer your question, I started thinking about long-term legacy. I started talking about what happens when I die? What do people remember me from? You get what I'm saying? And I thought something universal like this will create content which will be talked about for time to come. Whether you hate the book or whether you love it, it's something that'd be discussed. It's something that I can guarantee if you're in the library or if you're on scrolling and on Google and you see something about sex, love, you're gonna tune in. You're gonna tap in because it's just so desirable. It's something interesting and that people talk about.
Just the sex. Wow. Once they see that, that's it.
Absolutely.
It just grabs you, pulls you in, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I'm glad we was able to get to the book because, like I said, you're a pioneering brother. So many things going on. I got so many questions. It's like 4 or 5 minutes left.
Absolutely. And you know, as you can see, I love to keep going. You know, I don't listen. This is what I do, man. Content creator. So
we definitely gonna bring you back in March with the beauty. You know
absolutely.
what I'm saying? Because I don't really have too many shows lined up for the Women's History Month, but I think they would be interested in that beauty. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
All women want that. And anybody you forget, your email one more time where they can find you at directly.
Sure. All ALL the THE answers ANSWER the numeric 1000. So all the answers 1000 at gmail.com. Any questions, any information, if you want to partner, if you want to do different business, reach out to me. One thing I do want to add is just everybody continue to, strive for greatness. Don't let anything. We living in a hard time now where you're limited to contact with people and things like that. Things are virtual. Don't let none of this stuff discourage you. If you're feeling down, you should talk to someone. Seek positive people in your lives, mentorship. It's a lot of information out there. Just tap into the right people. Stay away from negative people. It's easy to get sidetracked. There's too many laws that will stop your life. There's too many laws for any criminal thinking people. If you're thinking criminally, my suggestion is think of the way you can actually profit from this.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams into modestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable. Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it, I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages. A vacant, modern kingdom for the taking. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.